I don't understand what the big deal is.
You don't.
No.
You lied about being pregnant.
Right, so?
You really don't understand why that might make me kind of angry.
No.
We're never getting back together.
Why not?
That's Mindy Kaling and B.J. Novak sharing a moment in the acclaimed television comedy, The Office. She's moved on since then, both professionally and personally. And Luke Burbank has our Sunday profile.
What is it like for you being famous?
Do you think I'm famous? That's great.
Mindy Kaling doesn't assume people know who she is, but Hollywood certainly does.
Well, I hope you're still committed because I'm pregnant.
From her breakout role as Kelly Kapoor on NBC's hit comedy, The Office.
Well, I manage my department, and I've been doing that for several years now. And, God, I've learned a lot of life lessons along the way.
Your department's just you, right?
Yes, Jim, but I am not easy to manage.
To her show, The Mindy Project on Fox.
If we're still single in 5 years and we haven't found anybody, can we make a pact that we will kill each other?
To films like Ocean's 8, and even best-selling books.
I always had such high expectations of myself because I came from people who have insanely high expectations. And I don't think they necessarily thought it would be in this career path. But
A path that no one, except Mindy Kaling, it would seem, saw coming.
There was not a Mindy Kaling on TV for you when you were a little kid. Like, who did you look up to? Who inspired you?
yeah, I think back on this and think it is strange. You know, like I didn't see anyone that looked like me on TV. And yet my draw to comedy was so much that I didn't care.
Raised in Boston, the daughter of Indian immigrants, her father an architect, her mother an OB-GYN, it was at her mother's office when Kaling was just 6 years old that she first showed a knack for comedy.
I would sit there after school and just write these little plays on my typewriter. And she would laugh like maybe 20% of the time, and that always made me feel really good. And that's how I first started thinking like, oh, I really love that feeling. I want to chase that feeling.
She chased it through college at Dartmouth, and then after graduation, when she co-wrote Matt and Ben, an absurd comedic play about Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Kaling played Affleck. Co-author Brenda Withers played Damon.
Good Will Hunting
by Matt Damon.
and Ben Affleck.
Is this a joke?
We wrote a script.
The play was an off-Broadway hit.
We are gonna be so rich.
And was even picked up to be a TV pilot, but the network told her they wanted another, more conventionally beautiful actress to play the role.
That was devastating, but it also showed me like the first time the harsh realities of Hollywood. They didn't think that we were sort of television friendly enough that people would want to see us.
The experience taught Kaling that if she was going to get the parts she wanted, she was going to have to write them herself.
Welcome to my convenience store.
So she did. First stop, The Office, where she was hired as a staff writer and told she could make the occasional on-camera appearance.
Try my cookie. Try my cookie. Try my...
It was like the funniest way to be introduced as a character. I don't even think I had any lines. I just slapped Steve and stormed out of a room offended.
And she hasn't looked back.
Who are you? I'm Molly. I'm a new writer.
You want to sit down?
Okay.
These days, starring in the new film Late Night, which, naturally, she wrote alongside Emma Thompson. In it, Kaling plays an aspiring yet somewhat naive TV writer.
I will not be marginalized by the iron fist of white privilege that pervades this work environment.
I am not trying to silence your strong female Indian woman of color spirit. #MeToo, trans is beautiful, blah, blah, blah.
Kaling says her actual experience writing on The Office was nothing like what her character in the film goes through. And yet still,
When I was at the Office writer's room and there was a lot of white men who I worked with, if they say something that's not funny or doesn't work, it's not a reflection on white men. It's just them personally. But when I say something, my great fear is that they'll look at it and say, oh, that's what Indian women are like. Because you're like, I wasn't that good today, and now like billions of Indian people are being seen as unfunny because I was kind of tired today.
I have some jokes for the monologue.
Well, you don't write the monologue.
Yeah, but I wrote some jokes for it.
And I have some ideas for Catherine's hair, but that's not my job.
7, shut up.
This is probably the first movie I can think of where the dramatic tension revolves around workplace inclusivity. You know what I mean? Like, did you set out to...
It sounds boring, doesn't it?
It's not boring, but it kind of sounds boring.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the ideas that are going into this movie, like feminism, ageism, those all sound really boring. But workplace comedies are things that are really fun.
Ever in demand, Kaling is also developing a new Netflix show.
Okay, Act 1. That's cool. Davey sits at lunch with Eleanor and Fabiola.
And she says her writer's room looks a lot different than the ones she started out in.
Things are so much easier in terms of creating stories when you have diverse rooms. Because what happens when you have the same kind of rooms from the same educational standpoint and from the same background is the comedies all start seeming the same.
As for the office Kaling works from, it can only be described as half Hollywood mogul, half daycare center.
My nanny will bring my baby in for a little break, and all the writers think she's adorable, or at least they correctly tell me, their boss, that she's adorable, which is smart.
Yes.
Kaling is 39 and raising her daughter Catherine on her own. She says motherhood has forced her to leave the office at the end of the day and head home.
Okay.
What is it like hanging out with Oprah? Like, you did A Wrinkle in Time with her. Does she cook things? Does she give you...
She makes margaritas. I don't think Oprah cooks.
Despite her fame, there's something oddly relatable about Mindy Kaling.
Here, I'm going to take over.
Will you please?
Is that okay?
Yes.
Like when she tries to make pizza rolls.
There we go.
It's more I Love Lucy than Martha Stewart.
I tried to put this down so it would be cleaner, but I think we just have to take it up.
Can I take this off then?
Please do.
Okay.
Thank you.
And maybe it's that relatability that's made Kaling so popular with her fans over her career.
For me,
A career few could have imagined, and that Mindy Kaling isn't taking for granted.
My work is so social and so fun, and comedy is so life-giving and energy-giving that I just want to do it for as long as I possibly can. There we go. Pretty good.
This seriously looks amazing.
Right?